Good morning, and thank you for keeping it with us in this cold morning, this lovely Thursday, because in Africa, rainfall is a blessing. In case you've just joined, I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyitono. Thank you so much for making us a TV of your choice, for being with us. Now, in this extension of Good Morning Uganda, which is Good Morning Uganda Extra, I'm humbled to bring to you good news regarding the parish development model. That is the PDM. We all remember it was on the 26th of February last year in Kibuku district, where His Excellency launched the parish development model as a model that is going to transform the 39% of our Ugandans who are out of the money economy into the money economy. It is a 7-pillar model, and we are now focusing on pillar number 3, which is financial inclusion, where we want to look at or understanding the role of financial institutions in creating financial literacy and dispersing money in the PDM. And I'm not alone to discuss this. I have Silva Egumire Nyombi, who is the Public Relations Officer PDM at the Secretariat, and that is under local government. Silva, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Robert. I'm very happy to be here. I'm very happy to know that Ugandans are watching us and they are interested in knowing about this government strategy. And I hope that by the time we leave, a soul or two or 1,000 of them can be more enlightened about the development model and about the development of our country.
Now, rightly said, we are looking at pillar 3. A quick one and very brief.
Yes.
What is entailed in pillar 3 of the parish development model?
Yes. Before I even talk about that, I think the idea of the pillars is what I want Ugandans to also appreciate, because when the model is based on these different 7 pillars, we address each aspect of development separately in the bigger picture. So I think we shall talk about the other pillars as the program goes on, but financial inclusion is not just about the receiving of parish revolving funds, or what people call the PDM money. Financial inclusion is speaking about the whole of the people in Uganda being aware of what takes place in the aspect of finance, not just money, but finance, which means things like being able to draw up business plans, things like knowing how you can become credit worthy, things like knowing who can be your guarantor in case you need to take a loan, how much money does your business at this point in time need, how do you look at when you'll get back the returns to pay, and things like that. So financial inclusion is covering all that, and we have a number of players to help us achieve it.
Now here we have financial institutions. Under the PDM, when you talk about financial institutions, how do these institutions come in?
Yes. So the parish development model is a whole of government approach. So that means that every unit that is attached to government has a role to play in the parish development model. For example, UBC is an arm of government, and it has a role to help us sensitize and create awareness about the parish development model. The Ministry of Finance, for example, is an arm of government, and it has a role to play in the financial inclusion as the manager. So the financial institutions, some of them are under government, like Post Bank, and others are what we call non-state actors, who are also involved in the parish development model. Their role is basically to do what I have just explained, to create financial inclusion, to create financial awareness and knowledge to the people, and then on top of that, to help us in what I think is a very important aspect, the way we disburse the money. Because earlier, we have been moving this money by hand. Somebody positions themselves somewhere or sends the money to someone, and they say, so and so and so on this list, come to my place and collect the money. But we want to do this procedurally, and we have included the banks. The main reason here being that as we achieve development, there are some things that are called indicators of development. And one of those is a higher bankable population. So if we have 44 million Ugandans and only 1 or 2 million or less can access banks and know the bank procedures, then we are not talking about development. On the contrary, if we say that everyone who's going to receive parish development model money, or PRF, is to go through the banks, we have directly increased the number of Ugandans who are bankable and have directly scored on one of the indicators of development. So that is the role of the financial institutions.
Now, when you talk about their role, let's see, how do they get involved in this PDM?
Yes.
What is the process? How do they come in?
All right. Financial institutions, or let me put it in a simpler language, banks, they have the duty, one, to help us disburse this money to Ugandans, disburse the money under Pillar 3, under financial inclusion. So their role is primarily to make sure that this money is moving. Now, in there, they have a task to think creatively of ways in which we can disburse this money to Ugandans faster and more conveniently. That is, we have had people complain that the banks have too many lines, have too many bureaucracies. So financial institutions have a duty to think of new ways that can help us do this quicker. One of those examples is what Postbank has done with what they've called the Wendy platform, a mobile wallet for Postbank. And with this Wendy platform, someone can register, can have an account, because, you know, banking has moved, financial inclusion has moved from being only in a bank. You can carry out financial transactions off your mobile, whether it is a smartphone or not. So they have come up with a platform like that that helps us to even send money to people without them having to go first to the bank and, you know, register and line up and sign, and the money just comes to your phone at whatever point in the day. So that is the first role of the bank. The other is to create the knowledge of finance. The banks do not just stop at handing out the money or sending it out. They have to teach Ugandans what good financial inclusion means. So they get in touch with circle leaders, the PDM circle leaders, with the enterprise group leaders, and they offer these trainings about how money can be accessed and can be utilized to get to the development that we are talking about. And then the third thing that these financial inclusions are tasked to do is to provide a system for us where we can track the money that goes out. So that way, we can simply know from a bank that this amount has been sent to this number of parishes, to these types of people, to this percentage of men, to this percentage of persons with disability. So that way we move from money just being in the hands of people that is very difficult to track and very easy to steal, and we create a form of security and an ease on how we can follow up on these resources. So those are three of the key elements that these players, the banks, the financial institutions have.
Now, when we talk about financial institutions under the PDM,
yes.
You've mentioned banks. Which other institutions are directly under this Pillar 3?
Okay.
Yes.
Currently, I would say it is only the banks, because the structure of banking was easier to understand to our policymakers. The other structure which could have come in to help us there would have been the mobile money institutions. You know, under the new law, the mobile money element of a telecom company is a company of its own. So there is, say, MTN Uganda, and there's MTN Mobile Money Uganda Limited. There is that aspect of it. So we have been exploring options of bringing those as other financial institutions, but there have been a number of queries there. There is more fraud over the phone than directly from the bank. So there are those issues. And we thought that, you know, whereas we may have to take them on at some point, currently the structure we have could favor the banks. But with the Wendy platform, it has opened our eyes, because MTN had partnered with Postbank to put this in force. So as we move forward, I believe we shall be welcoming more financial institutions.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, looking at the beneficiaries that we are targeting here, what is required of them to be able to access the money, which has now become the talk? I see some districts where they say, all circles have received their money.
Yes.
Others saying, we are waiting. So what does it take for someone to be able to get money from these financial institutions under the parish development model?
Okay. You asked me a very interesting question earlier. How do the banks and financial institutions get directly involved in the parish development model? So I had mentioned that they come in at helping us disburse the money, but before they reach that point, there are some processes which the beneficiary has to go through. And there are a number of those. But even when there are many, it is only because we are trying to safeguard this money that people are receiving. We are trying to make sure it goes into the right hands, that people out of the bracket of 39% are not accessing it, and that the ones getting it are using it for the right purpose. So to do so, we put some processes which include registration at the PDM circle. But before you even get there, you have to first sit with your household. You know, the parish development model, even when they are giving the money individually to a person, to one beneficiary, that money comes to the benefit of the household, because we believe the household is the first unit of the community. So you have to sit as a household and iron out a few issues. For example, the PDM requires you to have a national ID. And you may find that in a household, the wife has a national ID and the husband does not. So that is some of the things you agree on and say, okay, it is the wife going to receive the money on behalf of this household. Then you agree which business you're going to do and how you expect to get returns out of it. After that, you move to the person called the parish chief. Usually, this is our point of contact at the parish. So that person gives you all the information you need about the parish development model. For example, which group can you join that is doing a business similar to the one you're talking about? Who is the circle leader? Can you get in touch with them so they can put you on the list? And how can you move quickly to get this money? The parish chief can give you all that answer. Now, the thing is, in different places, different Ugandans have a way they live their lives. So the answers we get from the parish chief in Kampala may not be the same as the one in Chibuku. But what we are sure of is that ultimately they are going to help you find the PDM circle where you should be a member. So that is where the money will come from. I just want to add that before that, at that point, as a Ugandan, you're not supposed to pay any money to anyone. They're not supposed to ask you for money to photocopy, to process anything. You're not supposed to pay any money. If anyone asks you for money at that point, please raise it as a concern to police, because that's a criminal case of extortion. And after that, after you've joined your circle, there's a meeting called a verification meeting. This is with the LC1, the people in your community. The purpose of this meeting is to help us ensure that this is indeed a beneficiary. This is a person in subsistence and they need this money. So we do that because we believe people in a community know each other. They know the needs of each other. So they point out who should be on the final list of the people that should receive the money. And that is the list that now goes to the banks and they play their part of disbursing. However, I just wanted to add here that there are Ugandans who are out of the bracket of 39%. It doesn't mean they are well off. And I think that is what we all need to appreciate. But we go back to what the name of this strategy is. It is the parish development model. One, it talks about the parish, and two, it talks about development. So if we are going to develop the country, we need to have the mindset of the development of the country. And if you are out of the 39%, you should be selfless enough to know that it's okay for this 1 million shillings to go to someone in the 39%, because when that person develops, indirectly you also have a way you benefit. And also the model has other pillars outside financial inclusion that have other services that they will deliver to you. Yes, so that is where you get.
Well, we are still looking at the parish development model. Pillar 3, the role of financial institutions. That is as far as in the disbursement, but also creating financial literacy. Because we've seen a number of government programs, people are not well prepared for this money. And when it comes, because they have not been prepared properly, they end up spending, wasting it, and now begin hiding and running here and there and frustrating the program. Because these monies are not for you to eat. They're for you to use to make more money, and you refund so that another person can benefit from this money. But if you just waste it and you don't refund the money, then the vision, the belief that after a period of 5 years, each parish, the money that government is injecting into it will have caused sensible, reasonable transformation, that dream will not come true. Because when they inject, you don't return, then we don't have this, we may not have these monies revolve, which is one of the strategies under the parish development model. And sometimes people may criticize this without properly understanding. He who has not researched has no right to speak. So better first understand, most of our brothers and sisters, the politicians. I'm still with Silva Egumire, who happens to be the Public Relations Officer, PDM Secretariat, or the parish at the Parish Development Model Secretariat under Ministry of Local Government. Now, how do they come in promoting financial literacy, these financial institutions?
Yes. I'm just going to put a pause there and go back to what you've just been talking about, the parish revolving fund. One, a parish receives 100 million from the government every financial year. And the requirement is that the disbursement should be 1 million shillings to every beneficiary. No more, no less. So if it is 1 million shillings, that means that in a financial year, a parish can only disburse money to 100 people. Now, in the parish, you'll find that the people who qualify to be beneficiaries can stretch up to 6,000 or 10,000, which means that it is not possible for all the beneficiaries to receive this money at a go. It is not possible. So the aspect of revolving that I really like that you've mentioned that, because I think it had gone off my head. It means that the 100 people who receive the money this year will have 36 months from the time they receive it, or 3 years from the time they receive it, to utilize it and pay it back with an interest of 6% on the original figure. Which means if you've received 1 million shillings and you're paying it back after 3 years, you're going to pay back 1,180,000. Now, when you pay back the money, the people who didn't get the other time will be the ones to get this time. However, the government will keep sending 100 million every financial year. So we believe that after 5 years, from 2021 to 2026, we believe that at least 500 beneficiaries, at the minimum, when no one has paid back, at least 500 beneficiaries will have got the money in every parish. If they've paid back, well, the numbers could shoot up higher. So the money has to revolve. I thank you very much, Robert, for bringing that out. So back to the question you had asked about how they create the financial literacy. They, one, establish networks at the district and at the sub-county. These networks give them the circle leaders, which circle leaders now call the beneficiaries. Some banks prefer that they train the circle leaders so that the circle leaders can train the beneficiaries. Others can train the beneficiaries themselves. So the aspect of training that comes in here are the aspects of finance that we are looking for. One, can you be bankable? Are you bankable? Do you have access to the bank? Do you know how bank procedures work? Two, are you credit worthy? If not, how do you become credit worthy? Because if you're not credit worthy, in that verification meeting I talked about earlier, your fellow villager residents, they'll be the ones to say that person got money under a different government program and did not pay it back. Or that person, we've been lending him our money from the Chibina here, and they've not been paying us back. So we don't think they should get that money. So you need to know how to,
because they're part of the security, these group members.
Yes.
So if they just give a damn, then somehow it's going to affect them.
You're very right. And the loans being unsecured loans, you know, you do not have to give a piece of land to get this money. It's very unsecured. But your security is indeed those people. They're the ones to back you.
So fellow Ugandans, don't just second anybody anyhow, or any group anyhow. Be mindful that at the end of the day, you will be accountable to some level.
Yeah.
And this will have an impact on you. It is very important that when these groups meet for voting, then you have the people that are able to do so. Let's continue.
Yes, and so the banks provide what you call that financial knowledge. And on top of that, there is a blessing in disguise for these financial institutions. We have given them access literally to the population. And remember, we are talking about parish level development at the parish. So the banks now can even know people at the parish who are not beneficiaries, for example, who should not receive the 1 million, and then they have ways they educate them on how they can access more money from these institutions themselves. So you can be a member of a PDM circle when you're not a beneficiary, when you're not in the 39%, which means for you, you will benefit from the other pillars. But under financial inclusion, you can also benefit because the bank has come closer it has met you, and you can easily find people you can tell that my business needs 10 million. What they give here is not enough. How can I access the 10 million? And the bank will guide you correctly. So their role is directly to teach. Yeah, it is not just but to teach people how to get onto the money economy and how to understand and implement finance in their day-to-day lives.
Now, also quick, let's look at other avenues that are available for one to access the PRF money.
Yes. Access of the PRF money is currently through the banks. With the exception of Post Bank and a few banks that have joined it, they have started to use the Wendy mobile wallet. But still, it also means you are sort of attached to the bank because of your mobile wallet account. So there is no other way you can access PRF. Let nobody lie to you that give me 100,000, I can get you the money. There is no other way. It is either through the bank or through Post Bank's mobile wallet called Wendy. There is no other way you can access the money.
Now, before I go for a break, you've talked about Wendy, but I feel it's important that we give it more information for the public. You know, issues of money, people are very vulnerable. What more of what Wendy is and how Wendy works, and is it? Can I choose that for me? I just want the money on my account, or if I'm a beneficiary, I've gone through all the vetting, that me my million, let it come through Wendy, or is it the bank that says for this particular group?
I was with a gentleman from Post Bank recently. And I'm saying this so that people don't think I'm speaking for Post Bank about Wendy. But the person I was with made me understand that this is an option for people. In case, you feel the bank procedure is difficult, Wendy is an option. So some people do not have Wendy bank accounts, or rather Post Bank bank accounts, or bank accounts in any bank for that matter. And they say the reasons they give banks are very far from where we stay. They have network issues, and it will cost me a lot to just move there and come back. And then they charge me a lot of money, ATM, account maintenance, things of the sort. So Wendy comes in and says, no, if you are that person, here you go. You can have an option where it's on your phone. Even if it's not a smartphone, there's a code you dial *299 hash, *229 hash rather. Yes, and you can access that platform on there. However, even if you have a bank account, you can still have a Wendy account. That means that you create a linkage between your bank account and your mobile money account, and you can do all the other services, pay bills, buy a car, stuff like that. You can do it. So whether you have an account or not, you can be on Wendy. But especially for those who have challenges of accessing the banks, Wendy even becomes more beneficial because you can receive the money from your phone.
Well, allow us now go for a short break, and when we return, we'll still be discussing more, looking at financial institutions under Pillar 3 of the parish development model. What is their role? How are you able to get this money? Because yes, government puts this money, and we all know that of all programs that have been around, the parish development model is unique in its way because it comes to the lowest or the beginning of plan, which is the parish development model, and it is demand driven. Of course, when you look at the categories through which the enterprises that they venture in, you have an opportunity to decide and say, I'll take over this, I'll take on this. We'll return shortly and we'll be giving you more regarding PDM.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Nibanyita kana nyita says Nwagaba, commercial officer, Abantungamo district government.
I am Sez Nwagaba, the commercial officer for Ntungamo local government. I express my gratitude to God for this platform and the Emyuga initiative brought to us by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as it has positively transformed the lives of the people in Ntungamo, whom I have known for a long time. When you visit the beneficiaries of this program, you can easily witness the significant positive changes in their lives. The audit report demonstrates that despite their leader being deaf and blind, profits are being made, highlighting how this program has actively engaged and evolved every individual. Initially, we received 2,650,000,000 Uganda shillings. Each constituency received 530 million Uganda shillings. I would like to express my gratitude to this platform for providing us with the opportunity to share information about the Emyuga program. Our special thanks go to the President for initiating the program, and additionally, I would like to mention that there are numerous similar projects in Rubare and Ntungamo.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Welcome back from that break. Thank you for being with us on UBC TV. It is Good Morning Uganda Extra. I'm Robert Chirabonyo, and with me I have Silva Egumire Nyombi, who happens to be the Public Relations Officer, Parish Development Model Secretariat under local government. Now we are looking at Pillar 3, and under Pillar 3 we want to look at, or we've been discussing earlier on, the role of financial institutions as far as dispersing money, but also promoting financial literacy, so that you don't just get this money and you have nothing proper knowledge on how to manage money. Earlier on, you talked about people, if they are able to get credit, if they are credit worthy, or now, because when you talk about the 39%, it is believed that these are people who have been out of the money economy. They don't have, maybe they only feed, they plant and eat what they plant, but they're not so much buying and selling, transacting, because they don't have the financial muscles. Now, what happens when these people are not creditworthy?
Yeah. The 39%, that category has people whose level of production in agriculture is only for consumption. In that whatever is left is not enough for sale, and even if it is sold for the purpose of only satisfying a consumption need. So you find that they're out of the money economy because rarely, why we say they're out of the money economy is because they rarely interact with money. They rarely buy or sell things. They do not have a steady income. They cannot save, and because of that, they cannot invest. So those are the people who want to uplift into the money economy. That is why the money we are giving out is $1 million shillings. It is, to someone who's well off, $1 million shillings may look like a small amount. But I have had a chance to travel. Once I was in Bududa, and I met a lady who said that, who told us, we're actually asking her, the circle leader said she was not interested in the parish revolving fund, and yet she was a beneficiary. So we said, but if she has said she doesn't want, then why are you really forcing her? And the circle leader's argument was, we are talking about development. We want to uplift people, and I think this is one of the people we need to uplift. You should go and see her. And the lady told us she has an annual income after 12 months of 60,000 shillings. And she survived all these years. So her question was, why do you want to make me enter your loans system? To make me pay money when I have my 60,000 and I'm okay? You know, I'm comfortable. I have my garden, I eat my food. My son stays here, he has a bicycle in case I need to go to hospital, he takes me. I don't need anything from you. And now our task was
also when it's not a grant,
yeah,
I have to pay
it back.
Yes.
So don't give me your money. I don't need it. And that was the hardest person to convince, in my opinion, because this is a beneficiary who has a problem that we're trying to address, and they don't see that they have a problem there. So long story short, we did what we had to do. But now the banks at the level of financial inclusion, they have people like this to educate. And even so, they also educate the circle leaders so that that kind of sensitization can continue going, because that's not an easy mindset to break. That's a very dangerous mindset. And we have Ministry of Gender under Pillar 5, which is community mobilization and mindset change, that's supposed to take care of people like this. So our idea is that if a person earns 60,000 a year and they have business because they grow these crops, even the 60,000 they're talking about is coming from the crops they're growing. So our idea is, if you can give that person 1 million shillings, it helps them, one, to maybe diffuse labor, get more people to help her with work, to increase production. Helps them to get better quality inputs. It helps them to move in case they need to move things and, you know, sell them and collect money. It helps them to boost the income from that 60,000. And the idea is that this 1 million, you have it for those 3 years. So if you've been earning 60,000 without it, 60,000 there without the 1 million of capital, imagine what you can do with it. You know, that's the mindset we are trying to push. So we want people to get into the money economy that way. First, you have access to capital. That's the very first step. Then, because of access and capital, you have increased production. And because of increased production, you have more to sell out. And thus increasing your own income and putting you at a higher level now. Because with more income also means more saving. And with more saving means higher potential to invest. So that way you become a player in the money economy. That is what the parish development model is about.
Well, becoming a player just reminded me of a gentleman I met in Kikube.
Yes.
And I was telling him, realistically, sometimes we criticize certain things. Told him, but for sure, you're going to go in all this hustle because you want 1 million shillings. Told him, how do you go circle, you have meetings, trainings, to get 1 million shilling?
Yeah.
Because he was telling me, he was so desperate to get this money. He told me, through that man, I'm going to buy a cow. I told him, why is a cow of 1 million? That's when he revealed to me that he had been in goat business. Said, I wasn't making money, but I know how goats make money.
Yeah.
But I don't have capital.
Exactly.
I asked him then, how do goats make money? He said, no. In our area, we don't know, but usually goats produce 2.
Yes.
I asked him, what is the cost of a goat? He said, 200. So if I can buy my 4 goats, I have grass, take them, deworm them. Then by close of 1 year, how many goats do you think I'm going to be having? The next year, then do you think I can fail to pay the final year? Because let's also look at the payment plan. He told me that, and I stand to be corrected,
Yes.
that maybe you can choose, or later they extend it to 3 years. How is someone paying back? That's why I didn't get proper from him, but he was sure that by year 3, he will have paid with the profit given and still have his business, and now at a larger scale.
Yes. Now that example you've presented, Robert, is more encouraging than mine.
And he was assuring that then you'll be able to get the cows he wants. And I said, okay.
And he's right, because now what you've just explained there is, it seems like it is off-head, but that's an actual business plan. He has a plan on how the money is going to work and how it is supposed to benefit him. Now, when it comes to repayment, and this is very important because I know there's a lot of confusion on it. Some people said it's 2 years, some people said it's 3 years, some people said you start paying right away. The president was very clear on this, and it was a directive from cabinet that payment is 36 months. He uses the term months because he's trying to take away the mindset of people thinking when I say 3 years, I mean from January to December. It is 36 months from the time you get it. If you want to say 3 years, then you say 3 years from the time you get the loan. That is the payment period. However, in those 3 years, the first 2 or the first 24 months are a grace period, which means that you are under no pressure to pay the money. However, you find people who say, me, I am good, I can pay back now. But you are under no pressure to pay the money in that period of the 24 months. What we want is that by the 36th month, by the 3rd year, the end of the 3rd year, you have figured out how to pay back that money with the interest. The thing is, even when you pay back that money, it doesn't go to the bank, it doesn't come back to the government consolidated fund. That money stays in the SACCO account, which literally means that your 1 million and its profit of 180 that you're paying back becomes money for the SACCO. So that means that the SACCO ideally is building a bank of its own, because it has now over 500, 600, 700 million, given the capital, that the interest that has been paid. So be under no pressure, Ugandans. I always hear it when we go for these media interactions and people call in and they say, but how sure are you people are going to pay this money? How sure are you the people will get the money and return it with that interest? How sure they'll find the interest? Why are we worrying about that when we are talking about people who have received the money 3 months ago? They have 33 extra months before we start to worry about them paying. Right now, let us put the concentration on putting the money to good use, accessing it and putting it to good use. Because the other issue is this money has been seated on SACCO accounts for a very long time. But because of one reason or another, we have disbursed close to actually more than $1 trillion shillings to the SACCOs from the ministry. But you find that the money we've given out to the people is still in the billions. Yeah, we are approaching 50% of the money that's in the SACCO accounts. So before we worry about repayment, just know you have 2 years after you've got the money of absolutely no worry. And then focus on the 3rd year to figure out how you pay the money. Don't worry about the processes. The processes are just there to help us achieve indicators of development. For example, that people can be able to plan for money. To plan for money instead of saying, when I get my 1 million, I first go to the butcher, get some meat, and take the friends for around. If I spend like 200,000, surely the 800 can work. No. Development means you know that when you get capital, it's actually very common. I hear it in Kampala, especially among the youth. They use the Luganda phrase, byonna bikole naito lya capital. Yeah. So development means you know that this is capital, it is not money for eating, you know. So that way we believe we will include Ugandans in the money economy. Yes.
Well, Silver, time, I must let you go and give room to, of course, the other programs that are coming on. But let me just have your parting shot to the public.
Yes. Dear Ugandans, the parish development model is in place to help Ugandans. It is not centered on a political party. It is not centered on any denomination or tribe or any difference. As long as you're Ugandan, who can prove your Ugandanness with your national ID, and you can prove that you're a beneficiary, you can receive this money. This program is going to be in place whether this is the government that is existing or another one, because at the end of the day, this program did not come just to boost this government. This program came to boost Ugandans as a whole. So let us not fight against this program. Let us instead seek knowledge and understand it. And when we can get the money, let us utilize it and let us develop Uganda for God and my country.
Well, thank you so much, Silva Egumire, for the time and, of course, that elaborative explanation and of insight into the parish development model. We've been focusing more on Pillar 3, which is financial inclusion, and there we were looking at the role of financial institutions in promoting financial literacy, but also dispersing money. Well, this money is there for you if you follow under the bracket that qualifies for it. Find as much as you can information regarding the parish development model and Pillar 3. And if you become a beneficiary of these funds, please remember they are revolving funds. Use them for what you've applied them for, and remember, you have to pay back. This is not a bonanza. This is not thanking you for anything, but it's to ensure that you join the money economy. You improve your household in terms of being able to purchase, being able to buy, so that we together grow. I just look at 5 years from now, if each parish that receives every financial 100 million, how these parishes are going to be transformed, and definitely we'll have reduced the levels of poverty. See you tomorrow. God bless you. Have a lovely day.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
I got it. What do you mean you got it? Have you won a lottery?
Yes, this is kind of like a lottery to me.
Let me see. But these are